All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Kicking Tires podcast. We just wanted to start off by thanking you guys for showing so much support on the last episode that went up. It was our second best episode since we started. So we're really happy to see that you guys liked it. Thank you for sticking with us, of course. This episode, we have a very special guest. We'll let him introduce himself.
Hi everyone, my name is Chris Langlois. I'm a diehard Red Wings fan. I'm fortunate enough to have season tickets to get to go watch them in person quite a bit. Like most diehards, I follow the Red Wings on Reddit and different discussion boards. I love talking hockey, Red Wings hockey, with like-minded individuals. So thank you for having me, guys.
Yeah, of course. It's our pleasure. So today we're going to be doing the regular stuff. Of course, I am your host, Alexander de Berdinas.
Other host, Shola Shola.
And today we're just going to be back to the usual. We're talking about the three games this week. Detroit went 2-0-1. And as good as that record sounds, boy, was that a loss. We're going to get to some talk about Moritz Seider, maybe some trade candidates, which, to anybody who reads my writing with Inside the Rink, you know how much I love talking about this. And we're going to finish off with our weekly MVPs as per usual. So let's talk about the game here. We can start in Anaheim, and they finally put Larkin back with DeBrincat and Raymond. And DeBrincat has long been one of Dylan Larkin's best teammates. Like, you dive into the numbers, and since getting here, he's been electric with Dylan Larkin. They just can't put all their eggs in one basket by putting, Patrick Kane across from David Perron. When they tried, it wasn't too great. This year, it does not look good with Emmett Finney. But they head into Anaheim against a Ducks team that is red hot right now, and that was by far and away their best line. Alex DeBrincat has a 3-point period against the Ducks. The power play looked to be back to usual. And you also got some depth contributions, which was a big thing for this team. I mean, from Rasmussen was a little bit of a shock to, I think, everybody watching, especially when he decided to turn into a 70-goal scorer for 10 seconds. And you got one from ASB, which was really nice. And I think it was a good showing, especially from Jonathan Berggren, who's a guy that I've been pumping his tires all season. I think he's been stellar. And Detroit walks out with a big win against Anaheim. But when you look at the stat card, I mean, the forwards played well. The defense was okay. I think you look at John Gibson, who's a name that we're going to be talking about a little bit. And I think he did leave a little bit to be desired. He had a couple nice saves in the first, but ultimately let a couple go. Anything you guys noticed from that game, or any kind of big points?
I agree with you. The top line was buzzing that game. The DeBrincat just brings a hustle to that line. He's so tenacious. And before Patrick Kane joined the team a couple years ago, that was our top line: DeBrincat, Raymond, Larkin, and they've always had a good chemistry. So that definitely started the game well. The power play got better, as you said. One thing that annoyed me in the game was Sandin Pellikka getting benched for the last 15 minutes. I love Todd McLellan. I love that he holds players accountable and he's very blunt. But like watching that game, I thought he's had worse games than that. I didn't think he made any glaring mistakes. He was getting knocked around a little bit, so I don't know if the coaches were using that as an opportunity to kind of talk to him about the physicality part. You got to protect yourself. This is the NHL. So maybe sit here and watch what other guys are doing and how they go into the corners and whatnot. Little things like that. But that's just one thing that irritated me in the game.
Yeah, and for the benching of ASP, like, I wouldn't argue at any point he was their worst defenseman in that game. Like, I definitely think Edvinsson was back to a couple stupid turnovers in his own end. And I love Edvinsson. I think he's going to be great. I saw a couple people today on, Reddit, Twitter talking about how they were kind of like off the Edvinsson bandwagon. I still think he's going to be a great defenseman, but like, he was having some sloppy turnovers, lazy plays. And if there's a guy you're going to hold accountable, I don't think it's the guy who scored the goal to get you back into the game. Like, I don't know. I just didn't see good reason for benching ASP at any point in that game, especially not with like the final 15 minutes. I don't think he played, which was
he did not touch the ice.
Yeah,
and you know what? To his credit, he was interviewed by Helene St. James, and one of the things he said was, the coaches sat down with me. They told me what I needed to know, and it's all about how I respond. Like he's such a competitor, and this locker room over the past couple years lacks the emotional ability to overcome difficult moments. the adversity. And I think a guy like him, he's so competitive, he's so driven. He's going to help change that mindset in the locker room to hopefully make it so we don't have to withstand, 4, 5, and 6 game losing streaks here and there throughout the season.
Yeah, and I think a big part of the accountability is also the bouncing back. Like a lot of the NHL this is the most PR trained league in the world, I'd say. Like I don't think anybody's as cut and dry as NHL players are. But I think him bouncing back, I would say more in the Rangers games, the Sabres game, that was the third period. But him bouncing back and playing steady and like really putting his body on the line, which I saw a lot, and he was getting hit and he was getting back up, which was huge. Putting his body on the line and really showing that he wanted to be out there and he's earned his right to be out there. I think that's a big part of accountability because at this point, I don't care what they say in interviews anymore. Like, I think we've heard it all from just about everyone who's on and now off this team that they want to be better, that they can't lose X amount of games in a row. And it's good to see that this team is finally showing some bounce back.
Yeah. And you know what? To Todd McLellan's credit, basically every time he's really called out either the team this year or individual players, he's gotten the response that was needed. Like you talked about the depth scoring in this game. Going into the game, that's one of the things Todd McLellan talked about. He, at the practice the day before, he called these depth players over to him, and he said, when was the last time you were in front of the net tipping pucks? When was the last time you got a goal doing this or that? And he challenged them to be better, and you got depth scoring. He has a way of clicking the right buttons at the right time with this team, which is why we wanted a coach like him and not Derek Lalonde.
Yeah, I think being hard on the players has worked, and Lalonde was, I'll be generous and call him a tactician because, I don't know, just letting the other team shoot 40 times is not what I'd call a good tactic, but whatever. The only worry that I have is like, this team seems to need to be told not to choke games away or to get into the dirty areas. And it's like, because again, even Moritz Seider has no problem saying it. Like he said in the interview after the Rangers games, like, we were tired of this and like, X amount of years of stuff like this happening. Like, you shouldn't need to be told this after every loss that you need to get your head out of your ass. Like, there should come a certain point where you're accountable in the game and you're not blowing, 4-1 leads like the Sabres game that we're about to talk about. So,
yeah,
Detroit goes into Buffalo. A back and forth game through the first. By that, I mean, neither team was doing too much. I think there was like 10 total shots by the end of the period. But, the game really starts on 2 giveaways from both teams. I mean, it was Bowen Byram who makes an absolutely egregious pass to Ben Sherratt, and he finds Patrick Kane with a beautiful pass. And, yeah, it just continues to be a fantastic year for Ben Sherratt. And whether it's with Detroit or another team, he's going to earn a good contract. And then Detroit makes a boneheaded turnover of their own. It leads to a Sabres goal. Welcome to the NHL. Then Detroit gets hot, though, and they get really hot, and it's Lucas Raymond with a 3-point period. The power play starts clicking again, and he's finding to brink it out in front. He makes a gorgeous play. He kind of does a catch and receive with Dylan Larkin, who pots his 11th of the season, and he's just been on fantastic pace, and he's one of the best stories for the Red Wings. They come out of that period 4-2. A late goal goes off the body of Josh Doan and takes an unbelievably bad deflection past John Gibson. And that's kind of when the eyes turned to Gibson, because he had been quiet through that game. He had a couple solid saves. After that second goal went in, you were looking at him to shut it down. For all intents and purposes, 4 goals should be enough to hold over a game with 1 period left. When you get into the third, Gibson looked really leaky. Early on, I'll blame Moritz Seider a little bit. He makes a stupid play at the blue line on the power play. But coming down on a shorthanded breakaway, you knew that goal was going in. Basically from the second he left center ice. Like, you could almost pencil it in. Tage Thompson, again, on a breakaway, shoves DeBrincat out of the way because he is 6'6". If only we had players who could do that. And then goes for a wraparound on John Gibson that he just doesn't stop again. It's been a problem for this team where they need to kind of get a big save, and they haven't at any point. And it was on Gibson, especially in the third and in overtime, to make a save. And I don't think I was surprised when he let in the overtime goal. I believe it was I don't think it was Kesselring, but Tage Thompson gets it to a defenseman. It was Matthias Samuelsson, sorry. Blanked on the name. Tage Thompson, some people were asking for a penalty. That's what happens when you have tall players who use their size. He shoves DeBrincat out of the way, gets it out in front to Samuelsson. Detroit blows a 4-1 lead, and there's a lot to talk about in this one. So whatever takeaways you guys had.
Yeah, you mentioned Seider. I thought this was Seider's worst game of the season. On the first goal, he was way too weak on the puck in front of the net. All he had to do was clear the puck. But instead, he decided, I'm going to try and skate this puck out, and didn't work. And that was after Edmondson kind of ran into Gibson. Yeah. It was just two bad things that happened on that play. And then on another goal, Seider went in to pinch for no reason. You're up 4-1 at that point. And then DeBrincat was the guy back, and him and Edmondson didn't communicate well. Edmondson really should have crossed, and he should have took Tage Thompson. And that's something Todd McLellan did call out after the game. So that was kind of a screw up there at the start of the Seider's bench. And then obviously on the power play, shorthanded, he makes the stupid play and allows a breakaway again. And like you said, I knew that was going in. Like Gibson gives me no confidence. He gives the team no confidence. I think you got to ride Talbot until he gives you a reason not to at this point.
Yeah. Like I'm seeing most of like you guys saying you're on Red Wings Twitter, Red Wings Reddit. I'm seeing all these comments, and especially after the Sabres game, I was looking on Instagram comments, and I was like, the one they asked the question on who do you blame for this game, and everybody, all the one person that you can put blame on was John Gibson, and I'm seeing it during different games. You can see it during the stats. I think John Gibson has like a 4-6-1 record as a goalie, or 4-5-1, and then Cam Talbot has like a 7-2.
It's like 7-3.
Yeah, like and I'm seeing this. I'm thinking about the coaching side. I know at the beginning of the season, like this is my first season being a Red Wings fan. So I'm talking with Alex. Okay, who's number one as the goalies? He's like John Gibson. John Gibson comes in first game of the season. You give up 5 goals. Okay, then Cam Talbot comes in, and he gives a little bit of security for the Red Wings. Then they go on that huge 5-game winning streak. So everything's back to normal again. But every single time you see John Gibson coming in, he looks a little shaky. Like he doesn't look like a guy you can keep in till like till the third period, and you can automatically know you can secure a win. And I think what led me to this is in the Anaheim game. Me and Alex watching this together. I think John Gibson came off injured, so you can't really put the blame
he steps off
on him
because
he steps off the ice. Yeah, he steps off the ice after the second period. There was 2 goals happening in the second period for Anaheim. Then he comes off, and as Cam Talbot comes in, like I think I felt a little bit safer with Cam Talbot in over John Gibson, and which is weird because you pay all this money to bring in a guy who you think is going to be this big shot stopper and close out games for you, and like a little bit into the season, and that's not really what's happening with the team. Like you can literally see in the numbers with a losing record. So I don't know if there's some talking that you have to bring with John Gibson. I don't know what you have to say to him, but there's got to be something that changes with that.
And it's hard to, I think the Red Wings' biggest problem defensively has been getting the puck back. And I think it's been like this for a couple of years. It was amplified under Lalonde because he kind of pushed playing to the middle and letting low danger shots go. John Gibson doesn't control rebounds anywhere near as well as Cam Talbot does. And you can see it especially in the post-game highlights. Like a shot will hit Talbot's chest, he'll dive on it right away. Gibson's turning out pucks a lot to the boards. And, it's not that he's giving up too many shots from low danger, but he's overworking himself in his own zone because he's letting plays go on 2-3 minutes longer than they need to. I think Cam Talbot has just been so much steadier.
Something else I've noticed with Gibson is he seems to have trouble with long distance shots. Like he does not track pucks well at all. And you can just see the team just does not have confidence in front of him.
It's one of those things that I think I've seen a lot of Joseph Woll playing, and I think they're kind of two opposite ends of the spectrum. Joseph Woll, especially when he's on his game, is steady in the crease and he's making those small adjustments and he's reading the puck well. Gibson, even when he's playing well, likes the big movements. You see him swinging his arm wide. He makes a huge push off to one side. The Josh Doan goal against Buffalo was kind of the thesis of this. The shot comes from Dahlin, and it tips off Doan. The entire other side of the net was empty. If the shot continued on its current trajectory, if it didn't get tipped, it would have hit Gibson square in the chest. But because he makes such a big movement on every play and such a big kick and such a big punch out, the puck gets tipped the other way and he's nowhere to be seen. I think simplifying his game and playing a little bit smaller into the crease, like a Cam Talbot does, where he's not making those huge motions, which means Cam Talbot doesn't always make the huge saves. But ultimately, Talbot is steadier on breakaways. Look at him in the shootout. He's won every shootout he's been in for them. I think what Talbot does is he just plays a simpler game where Gibson's a little bit more flair, and he kind of gets burned for that. So we'll talk about the Rangers quickly, which is Talbot's game. And ironically, probably the best goaltending performance of the week, and I don't really think it's close. Gibson steps out for Talbot. Talbot holds the Rangers to 1 goal. This is a Red Wings team that hasn't beat the Rangers in 2 years. They haven't won since 2023. And there's been some bad losses in there. I mean, you think about the start of last season where Detroit blew all 3 games to the Rags in the first 2 weeks, which
it was weird. Yeah.
Yeah. Who the hell was in charge of scheduling for that? I don't know why.
And that's when the Rangers were good at the start of the year. They were dominating the NHL.
Yeah, because they had 3 wins against the Red Wings in the first 2 weeks. Yeah. I mean, of course, their numbers look good. Same reason we look good. We beat Nashville 3 times somehow. Again, all of this was in the span of 2 weeks. I don't know who's in charge of scheduling over at the NHL. That was cool. But, you go into MSG, and this is a building that Detroit's been bad in since basically Jimmy Howard was playing in net, where he would just steal you a game at MSG just because he was from Syracuse. Shout out to my favorite Red Wing of all time. But you kind of get a lot of back and forth play, and they run into Jonathan Quick, who, despite being 38 years old, has some weird number on Detroit where they just can't seem to score on him. They finally break through in the second period on a Lucas Raymond shot that is tipped in on the line by Alex DeBrincat. So Cat scores, sure, but for all intents and purposes, that was very much a Lucas Raymond shot that got the beat, and Lucas Raymond will get his revenge later. But then on probably the stupidest call of the Red Wings season, Moritz Seider gets called for a delay of game from the neutral zone. So naturally, the referees review this, see it was from the neutral zone, and then give Detroit a penalty. Detroit kills off pretty much all of it until Mika Zibanejad gets out in front of the net and punches one home to tie the game at 1. This is typically where Detroit would let their foot off the gas. When they were going into the third period, Detroit was up, I think, 12 shots. I think it was 26-18, rough estimate. But this was the exact kind of game that Detroit would blow in past years. I mean, you very much have them kind of under your palm a little bit. You're controlling the game. You're making their goalie make big saves. Detroit didn't let up, and they pounded New York for the final 20 minutes. New York only got 3 shots, so we're going to give Talbot some praise for closing this one out. It wasn't a huge ask for him. The 3 shots, he handled them, but more to say about the Red Wings forechecking. And with 3 minutes left, Lucas Raymond, probably goal of the year in terms of importance. He makes a really nice fake on the wraparound, drags Quick all the way out of the net, which was about the only way you were beating him tonight. Fires one home. The Red Wings win 2-1, and then it leads to a bench brawl for some reason because Jonathan Quick got butthurt that Appleton scored 2 seconds after the buzzer, the puck trickled in, and he needs to come off the bench for that. So a weird way to end the game, but from an unbiased perspective, that was probably the game of the year for the Red Wings. That was a fun watch. I had a good time. I think it was a close game through and through.
That game gave me vibes of the Red Wings of the old, who dominated puck possession. They just kept on it, like you said. They just kept pressuring. They didn't let up, and eventually they got rewarded. And their goalie made the key saves that he needed to make when called upon. That's what Chris Osgood used to do. And that's what Talbot's been doing for us pretty consistently. So, I can't think of one Red Wings player who had a bad game last night. They showed up, they competed, and they got rewarded.
Yeah, I do think the bottom line is one where they're kind of just throwing everybody out there. Like they had James Van Riemsdyk, Kopp, and Rasmussen on the fourth line. At this point, like again, I know it seems like I'm a super fan of this guy, but like I think Berggren's just like you need to play him in your bottom six. I mean, I did a piece on him earlier this week. Like he's a half point per game. He's above a half point per game, and the only player to be even close to that mark without having a top six forward factor in on one of their points. Like Berggren he's also been fine on the forecheck, which I've noticed. Like he's had no problem standing in front of people. He hasn't exactly been throwing hits, but he's also like he weighs as much as a wet napkin. So I'm not going to be pushing that for him.
And he's been a lot more defensively responsible this year too.
Yeah, and you're taking him out of his element a lot. Like his defensive zone deployments are way up there. Like he's been stapled to Kopp, and Kopp is best in his own zone. Like I'm not going to sit here and pretend like he's an offensive maestro. But when you're stapling Bergie to his own zone, like you're asking a lot of him to turn out points, and he's been totally fine in a bottom six role. And he's been a big part of that second unit on the power play. I'd argue he's probably their most dangerous finisher right now. So again, all the more power to Bergie, and hopefully they see it the same way, the coaching staff, and they get him in some more games. So
yeah, my favorite thing about this game, I've been calling for this all year long. They finally put Axel Sandin-Pellikka on the top power play, and he did not look out of place. There's obviously areas of improvement. For starters, like he's never actually practiced with this top unit. So once he gets some reps in with them, I think he'll be more comfortable with what plays to make. But I just love that he gives them a shooting option, because Seider almost never shot the puck on the power play.
And if he did, it was into a body. It was
right
down the other way. Yeah.
Right. So here, the penalty killers are going to have to respect the fact that this guy can shoot the puck. They might have cheated a little bit with Seider. So now maybe a guy like DeBrincat will, he'll be open a little bit more, because their penalty killers are going to have to respect the fact Kane can pass that puck right back to ASP and he can put it on net. Right. So I think it's going to make our power play even better in the long run.
And it's something that like we've been talking about on the show for a bit. Like Seider's ran his course a little bit, like especially on that second unit. There was a power play where Seider was out in the second unit and he turned it over for a breakaway. I was like,
fifth time this year he's allowed a breakaway on a power play. So
yeah, like we're seeing it. I think this is like a big topic of conversation in our last episode about who should start, ASP or Seider. And I think Seider had like a pretty
he had a good week.
Good. He had a good week, and I think I don't know if he scored on a power play or he's tipped during the Anaheim game.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
He tipped one, but Seider did get a goal later on.
Yeah, Seider did get a goal, but Cat's a goal merchant this week. I've been saying it. He's been just stealing goals from all of his teammates. But we've been talking about it, and I think as we said, like most started giving up five breakaways in a power play is unbelievably. Like you're not supposed to do that. And then I don't think he gives you that much of an offensive threat. Like as you said, like teams stepping off of him because they know that if he shoots, it's going to go into a body or it'll like fly up, or it's not even going to be close to the net. Like, and now that you have ASP, who Alex and I have been for this entire whole since this podcast has been a thing, we've been seeing he's one of the more offensive defensemen, and he can get the goals, he can get the assists, even on the power play, or in regular 5-on-5. So like, I think having him in the top power play now is one reason, or like another reason that you have for the Red Wings that you'll get more scoring from your power plays.
Yeah, and I think it gets glossed over because, again, Cat legitimately did steal this goal off the line. Like, it would be a good look because Pellikka originally had the assist when Raymond was considered the goal scorer. It was from Kane and Pellikka. So, if he gets credited with that, the power play looks a little bit better with him, and you can kind of feel a little bit better about it. But the points will come, and there's proof of concept there. Had Cat not, been on a hunt for 40 again, is what we'll call that.
Yeah, and one other thing is by him getting the top power play minutes, it's giving Seider a little bit less ice time in that regard and keeps him a little bit more rested for key moments in a game where, last 5 minutes of a game, we're holding the lead. You want Seider and Edvinsson to be on their game.
Yeah. And we'll talk more about Moritz Seider as we get into our second segment. We're going to talk a little bit about the problems that we can't fix internally because, as much as we love an Emmett Finney, we love an MBN, there are some holes in this roster, especially in this bottom 9 and a little bit in the top 4. We got some things to talk about for maybe who Detroit can add, a little bit of Moritz Seider chat, and we do got to talk about Gibson a little bit more in depth because we're putting Band-Aids on a bullet hole right now by just being like, the Red Wings are winning, it's fine. You're paying the guy $6 million. It's not like a Lion or a Talbot where when they're playing bad, you're like, they're still giving you surplus value. Like Talbot, even if this is all he is, he's a sub 900 goalie who just gives you really good minutes. For like the contract of like $2 million that you're paying him, like you're still very happy with that. Gibson can't be average. You're not paying him to be average. But I guess let's start on a more positive note. I mean, there are some rumors out there. St. Louis is a team that's kind of been interested in shaking things up. And, Pittsburgh kind of still has names out there, even though they're playing quite well. Buffalo's been another team that's mentioned in the trade market. So I guess, Chris, is there anyone that you'd be interested in kind of moving out of Detroit or any of those teams that you've been interested in bringing in?
Well, before I pick on some Red Wings players, one player that I've been interested in potentially if he became available, and I know he's not had a great year this year for Buffalo, is Bowen Byram. I think if you got one more top 4 defenseman for after this year, or for this year, even better, it would really solidify our top 4. Because if you could do like Byram, Seider, Edvinsson, Sandin Pellikka as your top 4 long term, that's a really good top 4. Good at puck movement, good offensive abilities, reliable. We need something like that on our team because right now we're missing that number 4. Aside from that, we need to get rid of Kopp, Comfer, Rasmussen. I feel like I'm forgetting somebody.
They just name in that bottom 9. Yeah, you could legitimately say any of them, and I don't think people would disagree.
Right, like JVR, whatever. Like he's had some good looks, but like
you're paying him nothing too. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, like I just can't stand watching those guys play.
Yeah,
Comfort, but playing with Patrick Kane, it's like an anchor. Patrick Kane makes this nice play. It was in the Anaheim game, wide open, cross crease pass. There's Comfort, and he whiffs on it. That's just typical, right? So they got to start moving some of these guys out and figuring out a way how to do that. So we can either call up more young guys, give them looks, see what we have, because Yzerman has to figure out what he has and what he's willing to, get rid of in a potential trade going down the road.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I think Byram, especially, like, he's kind of, if you can make a partner in a lab for Moritz Seider, like, I think people talk a lot about an anchor, but if you're not going to get an anchor, like, you get a guy who can, complement Moritz Seider's offense a little bit better. Like, he's a good puck mover. He can facilitate well. He can kind of flex onto either of those power plays. Byram helps at even strength. He's a good puck mover out of the zone, and he knows how to log big minutes. So Byram's a great player. I've really liked him. There was talks about him last year, but his contract was coming up, and he was rumored to want like $9 million, and that wasn't touching that with a 10-foot pole. But now that he signed, settled. A name that I'm looking at I've been saying it a lot, but Pavel Buchnevich is playing poorly, and that's exactly the kind of player I want to jump on right now. Like, I'm still not at the point in the rebuild where I'm comfortable giving up Casper, Danielson. I'm still not comfortable giving up like Sandin Pellikka. Not that any trade is really going to get there. I'm not comfortable giving up any of the blue chip guys. And I think the only way you're going to get a legit piece without giving up one of them is to start buying low. And Buchnevich has shown that, like, again, first of all, the frame is promising, 6'1", 200 pounds. He doesn't throw those, but he uses his body well. He positions himself well. He earns spots. He's proven that he can be a 50 to 60 point guy consistently. And this is his only down year. And somebody might have just got murdered in my hallway if that happens. And I think he plays the left side, which is so important to this team. And he's not small. Like, there's only so many Patrick Kanes, Alex DeBrinkets, and Lucas Raymonds you can have in your talk. And all great players. Cap plays way bigger than he is. So does Lucas Raymond. But at a certain point, like you saw with Tage Thompson, Cap plays big. But you know what I mean? You are still sub 6 foot, and Tage Thompson legitimately ragdolled him. I think a guy like Buchnevich gives you some scoring, gives you some size, and a guy who's helped out in the playoffs for St. Louis a couple of times. Like, I think it's kind of the full package, and if you can get him for cheap right now, I think you're more than happy with that. And as for guys you want to get out, like Compher's one where Comp and Compher, as much as I don't want them on this team, they make a combined $10 million. Like, no GM, unless they're smoking a ton of crack or you're retaining nearly 50%, is going to touch either of those guys. So I think, unfortunately, like, I could see Compher having some value to a team like Buffalo or Nashville, where their center cores are legitimately like one guy deep. Like, I think Svechkov is Nashville's 2C. Like, I think Compher would legitimately be a top 6 center on their team, which is an indictment of them more than anything.
Yeah.
But unless I think you're attaining like north of 30%, I think those guys are too hard to move. But as for guys that you got to get out, like, I think you need to move off from Rasmussen. Like, again, you said it. We sound like a Rasmussen hate podcast. Like, we've joked about this a couple times. Legitimately, every episode we get on here, and we find some way to slip a shot at Rasmussen. I'm sorry, he's not an NHL center. Like, he just doesn't do center things. He's not as responsible defensively as people make him out to be. Somehow he's winning like 60% on his draws, which, like, I feel like he's paying them to put that number there. It doesn't feel like it. I don't know how the hell he's doing that. He's not a good winger. Like, he doesn't use his size. You could tell me he's 6'2" and I wouldn't notice. Like, legitimately, like, especially again, watching Tage Thompson and turning your head to see Michael Rasmussen. I get what they were betting on when they drafted him, and he was a reach when they drafted him. I believe only Scott Wheeler said he was like a once in a lifetime. There was one, I think it was the Athletic writer that was like, Rasmussen's big frame is like a once in like a lifetime kind of prospect. And everyone in their right mind was like, what the hell are you talking about? I think it's the experiment's done, and you know what I mean? Like, Veleno's gone. It's time for Rasmussen to be gone. All the Ken Holland picks, like,
Yeah.
We've seen enough.
Michael Rasmussen has given me one good memory as a Red Wing, and that's, I think it was last season when he knocked Jack Hughes over or whatever and just looked like so mighty.
Yeah.
And now Jack Hughes, poor Jack Hughes doesn't even know how to cut his meat.
Yeah, Jack, like, legitimately like made of glass. Like, if you told Devils fans that Jack Hughes wasn't going to get an on-ice injury, they'd be thrilled until they realized you said on ice. Like, the guy just continues to get hurt, which sucks because he's a Red Wing killer, first of all. I don't need to play him. But he's a fantastic player. He's a lot of fun to watch. The flash is there. Fun personality, too. Like, he'll mess around in interviews, which I like. So, again, hoping for a speedy recovery. Not that speedy. I know when we play New York next, or New Jersey, sorry.
We play them, coming up. So he won't be there. No,
he's gone for a while. But yeah, so that's kind of been that. As for goaltending, anybody want to go first? Because I feel like I'm gonna rag on this guy too much.
I think what they need to do is ride Talbot for a while and kind of give Gibson a little reset. Give him time to work with the new goaltender coach, Michael Lehtinen, to work on his game. Like you talked about earlier, his movements, he kind of over moves. So just kind of work on those kinks, get them out of his game, give him a couple weeks to just work on that. Because over the next week, anyways, I don't think we have any back-to-backs. So you should be able to ride Talbot. And then hopefully that little reset can get Gibson going, get him back in action, gain some confidence. And hopefully, I mean, he can't get worse.
I think the other thing is, like, also let him know his job is in jeopardy a little bit. Not so much like as a Red Wing, but like, show him that, like, Talbot can start if you're not ready kind of thing. Like, I think they've kind of gone back to Gibson to, like, show, like, hey, we trust you. Hey, we trust you. It's a bit, shake it off. At a certain point, you got to be like, all right, and enough of this. He will be our number one if you're not going to do it. So I think kind of trial by fire for him a little bit might be good just because you kind of haven't tried it yet. So that might be a start. But as for the play itself, man, like, there's some real, well, like, I don't even know what you tell him. Like, simplify your movements, like, stop giving up rebounds. Like, it's not like he doesn't know this stuff. Like, it's not
stop the little black thing.
Yeah, like, at what point are you just telling him stuff that he should know by now? And last year he was great, right? Like a .920 save percentage on a terrible Ducks team. He's coming to Detroit. He sounds good in the interviews. I've loved everything John Gibson has said, first of all. He seems like a great personality. Like, I am rooting for the guy. Don't get me wrong. This isn't me, like, wanting him out. But, man, there's a lot of work to be done. And 20 games in, if you still can't trust John Gibson, you got bigger problems, especially if you're banking on this offense and this defense to carry you through games. It's not a recipe for success long term.
Do you think there's a time throughout the year where we might get a look at Sebastian Cossa?
If he was healthy, I think they would have.
I
think if Gibson, when he kind of got ran, I think if either Postava or Cossa, like if Grand Rapids just can't have a goalie right now, like they're just signing anybody.
Yeah.
If Cossa was healthy, I legitimately think we would have seen him get looks, especially because, like, as much as we're praising Talbot, is he going to play another year after this? Like, he's 37, last year of his contract. Like, and don't get me wrong, this guy is in ridiculous shape, like genuinely like shredded to the muscle. So if you ever need gym inspiration, go look at him shirtless. But like, I don't think he's going to play another year. You're going to have to phase Cossa in eventually. Like, I don't think you can pretend like this is the tandem for the contention period. Like, you're going to need to get Cossa some looks. And again, I don't think it can be worse than like a 0.86. Like,
I mean, he's had an excellent start to the year in Grand Rapids. So, I mean, this would be the ideal time when he comes back from injury, if he still is on his game like that and we're still having questionable goaltending, then I think they absolutely have to give it a look.
Yeah, and the other thing I think with Cossa especially is when he comes to the NHL, people got to remember he's a slow starter in like all the leagues he's played in. Like, he started slow in the ECHL, he started slow in the AHL. So if he takes a couple games to get acclimatized to the NHL, don't freak out. Like, they do got to give him some runway, which I think I don't want to spin this like a good thing, but having two very injury-prone goalies is probably a good thing for Cossa, just because Gibson hasn't played a full season in like a half decade, and Talbot's, again, wear and tear on him is going to get ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, I think giving him some runway and, February, or keep him away from March. Don't chance anything in March is basically my point. Like,
or maybe he's the thing that can save us in March.
Yeah, honestly, they've tried just about everything else. So it wouldn't surprise me if they're like, "Hell, buddy, you're starting every game." They'll call up Augustine to do it. They'll just throw anything at the wall.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, that's been a whole problem. So let's get your Shola. I want to. My bad, I didn't see, but give us your piece on the goaltending.
No problem. Hey, honestly, for the goalkeeping, like I just looked back at the stats. Like, it is like I think what Chris is saying is right. Like, you do have to ride the Cam Talbot wave until he decides that he's not on a heater anymore. Then you bring back Gibson and you just gives him some time, because he's had a slow start to the season, and like after as you said, like a good year with that Ducks team last year, and you bring him in to be this shot stopper and starting goalkeeper and doing all this for the Red Wings, and he's had a slow start. I think you just keep Cam Talbot in, like he's 7-2. Like like that probably would be, I don't know if that's first in the Atlantic if he's 7-2, like if the season is like before, like you just gotta give Gibson
respect
time.
The hot hand kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like I think that's what they've been doing with most of the players, like most of the forwards.
Yeah.
Like, you see that they brought DeBrincat up to the first that first line. They brought Casper down to the third line. Like, you see that they're trying to ride the hot hand with bringing more guys in who are performing well to that top six, and then bringing guys who are really struggling down to that bottom six. Like, you see Finney's coming down. He was on the top line, now he's in the second line, now he's coming back down to the third line. Like, you see that they're trying to mix things up with the forwards and the defensemen. So why can't they do that with the goalkeeping? So you can see that. And talking on Sebastian Costa before we move on to I think talking about more Mo Seider. I honestly, when I heard his name, I was like, oh, like I remember him watching him in preseason. He didn't have that bad of a preseason. I think in our first episode, I probably said some dumb stuff that he should have been on the Red Wings and not been in Grand Rapids, because I didn't really know the roster at that point. But honestly, I didn't know he's injured either. If he wasn't injured, I probably would have wanted to see him get in this roster, get a couple looks in. Um, Hopefully he can this year. Honestly, like I
Yeah.
think he's a competent goalkeeper. Um, and if Gibson doesn't show up, or if Cam gets injured, or if the both of them get injured, like I think that's his time to shine. And yeah, like I hope. I don't know. I don't know if I hope that he can sing. 'Cause I hope that Gibson turns out a little
Yeah.
bit better than what he's showing right now. But if he doesn't, I hope Sebastian Costa comes in and just decides he wants to turn into like a 0.86, 0.9 save percentage goalkeeper.
Yeah.
I think
Like
he can
I
do it.
think the big thing for Detroit is also they're not against carrying 3 goaltenders. So, if the point
That's true.
comes, they got to send a couple forwards to Grand Rapids just to get all 3 of them some looks in net. I don't think they're opposed to it. I mean, let's just talk about Chris. Like, obviously, very special guest on this episode, but let's hear your outlook on the season as a whole. Like, everybody who's been with us knows what we think at this point, but like, what do you think of the start? What do you think is sustainable? I've seen a lot of people saying like this is a sustainable thing for the Red Wings. We've kind of been a little bit antsy about that. Like, we kind of have been pushing that this maybe isn't as sustainable as some people think. We still think this roster's top heavy. I still think they're a move away. But where do you stand? Like, where are you at with this team's outlook?
I like that they have finally allowed a bit of a youth movement, especially to start the season. You could feel the buzz at the arena at the games. The fans were thrilled.
Yeah.
And Danielson would have made the team. We would have had 4 rookies on the team had Danielson been healthy. I remember when ASB scored his first goal, and like it went to commercial, and then the game came back on, and they showed ASP on the jumbotron, and the arena like erupted because they know how important he's going to be to the future. So that kind of propelled us to get off to our start. We had the 5-game winning streak. And I mean, we beat really good teams during that time.
Yeah.
We beat Toronto in a dominant fashion the first time, and then Talbot won us the game in Toronto. But then we also beat teams like the Oilers and the Panthers. So there's a lot to be excited about there. But realistically, the team is still what it is. It's a team that's going to, when it's on its highs, it's going to be, it can play like they did against the Rangers last night and look completely dominant defensively and offensively. But then there will still be games this year, like the Buffalo game, where we let off the gas and we don't know how to deal with that. We don't know how to hold the leads, as Todd McClellan talked about. So I think as Red Wings fans, we just need to deal with the fact that we're going to have ups and downs this year. We're a streaky team. We just, like you said, we're 1 or 2 pieces away from being a really dominant team. That's not to say I don't think there's a chance we can make the playoffs.
Yeah.
But I right now we're number 2 in the division. I don't see us making the playoffs number 2 in the division,
especially behind Boston.
Yeah.
So.
I don't think Boston, I think they're gonna fall back down to earth. They're not a playoff team. And then Montreal, I think they're kind of our closest. Them and Ottawa are kind of our closest things in terms of where we're at in the rebuild. Toronto's an interesting one because they continue to look very, very inconsistent. So it's a hard thing to gauge with our division. Like, we are in a very competitive division. Every time you look, games are going to overtime. So there's all these 3-point games. So I think Red Wings fans just have to be I think Red Wings fans just have to be, excited, with the youth. I think Finney's still playing good hockey. Like, he's not putting up points, but it'll come. Casper, he can't get worse. Like, he's gonna find his game at some point. He's not playing horrible. He's just not generating enough offense like he did. He's not finishing checks like he was. So like, we're winning. Our record's 11-7-1 right now, and we've gotten bad goaltending from Gibson in that time. We've gotten really nothing from Casper. Kane missed a chunk of time. So when you think of it like that, ASB is only going to get better. Edvinson's going to get better.
Figure it out,
right. So when you think of it like that, there's hope. But I think as Red Wings fans, we should just be a little bit cautious as well.
Yeah, and as for that, I will say like the downside to kind of the we should get better goaltending, we should get better like play out of Casper, and it's not just Casper. Like I know that we're hard on him, but it's because all three of us like I don't think I'm putting words in your mouth by saying like we believe in Casper, like we think he's going to be a solid NHL player. But like really, like it comes from Soderblom needs to pick it up too. He has like 1 point in 13 games, and this team needs scoring from the defense. Like every other team in the NHL is getting it more than Detroit does. I think the one thing that's been maybe too hot has been Larkin, Raymond, and Cat are like they're all on pace for damn near 100 points. Like you're kind of looking at possibly like the best three-man weave in hockey right now. Like they look unstoppable. I don't know that they can keep this up forever. Like again, we love Lucas Raymond, we love Alex DeBrincat, we love Dylan Larkin. I think it would be a stretch to say these guys are going to hit 90 points. Like one of them might. Cap might get the 40 goals. Larkin might get the 40 goals this year. But like, I think they've been so good and so hot where, again, I would love for it to happen, but I think it would be very uncharacteristic and overly optimistic for me to believe that they're going to kind of continue on this pace. So I guess what are you seeing out of them and the top guys on this team? Or, do you think they can do it? Like I would love to be told otherwise. Don't get me wrong. I'm definitely rooting for all three of them.
I think if Raymond stays healthy, he will hit 90 points. He would have hit 90 points last year. He came back from Four Nations, him and Larkin, and just sucked.
That's my worry this year, too, with the Olympics.
With the Olympics, yeah, that's true. So with any luck, the hockey gods are on our side, and this time they come back healthy and hungry. I think like Raymond has the potential to hit 90 points. I think DeBrincat will get close to 40 goals.
Yeah.
I think he'll probably be looking at 37, 38 goals. Larkin, I think he'll be around 35 goals.
Yeah.
Kane will be the interesting one. If Kane can stay healthy, like that, there's another one. How many points can we get out of him?
Because he was over a point per game under McClellan last year. Like he was very good.
After Four Nations, he was probably our best offensive player.
Yeah,
no question.
Yeah, him or DeBrincat, pretty much. Like you could.
Like I know Kane wants to go to the Olympics this year, but I really hope he doesn't because I think that rest really benefited him last year.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm split. Like, I do want Raymond and I do want Larkin to go to the Olympics because it's good for them, and like you don't want them to get down on themselves about it. And like you can see that like Cat's playing with a bit of a chip on his shoulder. Like he didn't even get invited to the USA camp, which was glossed over majorly in the media. I've seen people were talking about like Nick Schmaltz should have got invited. I was like, this guy scored 39, but I digress. It's one of those things where like, I get it. Like playing for your country is a huge deal. Just like as a Red Wings fan, you hope that after seeing them at the World Championships, especially Lucas Raymond, who goes every year and he's a good sport about it, they kind of know how to like work their bodies to be able to come back and still play good hockey. Because last year they were like, Lucas Raymond got points. Like he kind of but there were a lot of secondary assists and he wasn't scoring like he was. Dylan Larkin was hurt. Like he was playing through a hand injury. Like it was all but confirmed by the end of last year. So I'll give him grace there. And again, part of that is blame on the team where you can't give Larkin 3 games to rest because you'll lose all of them. But you kind of get antsy about letting these guys go to national tournaments because you know that it can result in 7 straight losses in March for the 5th year in a row now?
Remember in the 2014 Olympics, Datsuk and Zetterberg both got injured and missed the last 6 weeks of regular season.
Yeah, and I don't think it's going to be that extreme. Like, I don't think they're going to.
And typically in the Olympics, the Olympics aren't as physical as the Four Nations was.
Yeah, they're playing you got some weirder, like Germany's, they have 4 NHL players. Like, you're not going to be throwing LBs around the whole game. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's one of those things where you hope it's good for them. You hope it's good for the confidence. But man, oh man, are you in serious trouble if you're missing these guys? Because again, you look at this roster. I'm not a betting man, but you could give me any money in the world and I would not put it on JT Compher coming out of the Olympic break looking fantastic enough to shoulder this team to the playoffs. It's really still going to be on these guys. And if they come back hurt, I don't know who's picking up the slack for them.
Yeah, I mean, the nice thing is Edvinsson and Sandin Pellikka probably won't go to Team Sweden So they'll get some rest, which for ASP will be really good because it's his first year in the NHL. Once you get later into the season, it becomes a bit of a grind. So for a young player like that, it will be really beneficial. And even Edvinsson, this is only his second full season. So it'll be beneficial to those guys to kind of recharge them. And, hopefully if the other guys come back banged up, then these guys can pick up their game a little bit as well.
Yeah. And one of the things I'll say for Marco Kasper, this is just to offset some of the bad we've been talking about him. Next Olympics, like Austria probably will be there. Like what he did with Austria in the World Championships was genuinely like MVP conversation. Like he was fantastic. So he's going to go to Worlds, and it's not just going to be the superstars in this team that we're talking about. This team has guys from every country you can think of. Like MBN, if Norway's ever there, you best believe MBN will probably be their best player. You best believe Kasper's probably already the best Austrian in the NHL, maybe Marco Rossi. But like these tournaments are something that Red Wings fans are going to have to get used to because
for sure.
And
eventually Sandin Pellikka and Edvinsson will be there for Sweden as well.
Oh, absolutely.
So.
And Canada's goaltending in the future, like who do you take other than Kosa? Like if they don't got a great outlook, then even goaltending now.
Yeah.
And Trey Augustine looks fantastic too. Like it's one of those things where we're worried about it now, but you can't say don't go because more veterans who know how to keep them and have them be healthy for it, the better. And you want it for the players too. So let's get into our final segment here. We're going to give out our weekly MVPs. Each of us are going to give out our best player and our best moment from the week before we send this one off. So Chris, you're the guest. We'll give you the floor to start off here.
I think my MVP has to go to DeBrincat. I thought DeBrincat has just been hustling, competing, stealing goals from people. He's done it all. Kudos to him. He's really brought some energy back to that top line. And not that they were playing bad or anything, but he just has the extra element, and it's just elevated their game. And my favorite moment, as I kind of touched on earlier, was ASP finally on the top power play. That really made me happy.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I'm not going to steal yours. I feel like I got to be different. I'll go Lucas Raymond for player of the week. Like 7 points. He had one more point than DeBrincat. Cat stole one of his goals, and that New York game was a Lucas Raymond special, like the big clutch goals, the big clutch moment. So I'll give my week MVP to Lucas Raymond, but Cat had one hell of a week. I'm not going to sit here and say otherwise. And for my best moment, how could you not love the bench brawl? You know what I mean? Like the jersey, I almost said the color on color fight, and that's going to sound ridiculous in recording. So we're going to not put it like that. The two Centennial jerseys on each other, like the red versus blue fight, scrap at the end of the game. How could you not love that after a win? Looks great. The pictures from it were fantastic. So that was a good way to cap off a fun win. And like I said, probably my watch of the season for the Red Wings so far. So
hopefully next time they play in New York, they do that again.
Just keep doing it with the jersey, with the jerseys or the bench brawl.
Not both.
Fair enough. Here, Shola, you got it.
Yeah. You guys both stole who my player of the week are, and I got no one else. So I'm gonna say the both of them. I think Cat and Raymond are both my players of the week. They had both unbelievable weeks. From Dylan Larkin, I think he had 6 assists and a goal. It should have been 2 goals if Cat didn't steal it. And then you got DeBrincat, who's just everywhere, man. He's doing whatever he wants. He did steal 2 goals from his teammates, but he probably would have gotten more goals if it wasn't for that. So I'm gonna give it to those two. And my my best moment this week, I'm gonna give it to ASP. I loved his goal. We watched it during the Anaheim game. And we both yelled during that time. So it was fun. I always love seeing ASP getting goals. Like he's one of my favorite players on this team. And as you said, like he's on the top power play again. So I hope he gets more of those so I can keep just cheering for him. He's solid defensively, and I don't know. He's probably my favorite rookie, if not MFNE. But yeah, him getting that goal this week, it put a smile on my face. So I'm happy for him.
Yeah. So that'll wrap our episode. Chris, we are very happy to have you. It was honestly a joy talking to you. We'd love to have you back. just some housekeeping stuff. We are on YouTube. We are cleaning up a little bit. We got some channel banners. Post-game episodes aren't always up. Sometimes I do them, sometimes I don't. Sometimes they're with my writing on Inside the Rink. If you're watching this on YouTube, and feel free to leave comments, anything you guys want to see, however many times you guys want to see Chris back. Again, we love having you. So this was a fun one, and thank you guys for tuning in. We hope to see you guys in the next one.
Thanks for having me, guys.